Like, we were the least prepared people that have ever went to Italy.
You can do Europe much cheaper than you can do a lot of trips in the States. You get to see all the 5 towns by water, which honestly we'd recommend anyone to do.
I mean, we're thinking we're going to scrape against the walls. And there's this old lady, too, and she's ripping.
Try not to go to the places you've heard of. We just scratched the surface of what Italy is.
That ruined Rome for me. And it was fun. I mean, they were selling perfume
like
in the
$40?
aisles of the plane, but it was fun. The word I kept using was reverence.
This coffee shop called Barnum.
Only there 2 days, but we went 3 times.
Hand-delivered croissants to your door in the morning. And Chandler and I were when she's turning the corner, are looking at each other, pinching each other, is this real? Is this real?
Cinque Terre, or Cinque Terre, whatever you want to pronounce it.
Welcome back to the How Was Your Trip podcast, where we unravel the world one interview at a time. Today, I'm so excited to have my friends Chandler and Julia on as they talk about their honeymoon in Italy. I've known Chandler for 5 years now, as we used to work on a social media team together. And then he introduced me to his girlfriend, now wife, at my own wedding, and we clicked instantly. They are the kindest, most genuine people you will ever meet. They're the kind of people that when you leave a conversation with them, every single time you're like, I want to be more like them. So I'm super excited for you guys to hear. Come along, let's jump in and enjoy. Welcome to the podcast, guys. How are y'all?
We're great.
Good.
So excited to be here.
I know. I'm super pumped that you guys are on. So you guys just got married. How long ago now?
10 weeks.
2 months.
That's
2
wild.
months.
Yeah.
And so right after your wedding, which was stunning, you guys went to Italy.
Yes,
I would love for you guys to give a general overview of your trip. Why did you pick Italy? What did you do? General overview, and then we can dive in deeper.
I feel like it was my idea, because you've been to Greece, and I'd never really been out of the country. I've been to London, but that wasn't at all Italy. But yeah, I think it was my idea initially, but you were on board fully.
Yeah.
So
what made you decide to do Italy? I don't even remember how you brought it up.
I think the Colosseum, Rome, was my favorite, or my biggest want to see, So it was kind of around Rome, which is funny because it ended up being
that
favorite
is
thing.
so interesting to me that Rome was where just knowing you as a person,
Well, just Gladiator, the movie and everything,
Okay,
kinda,
that sounds more in track with.
I wanted to see the Colosseum, so that's kind of where it came from. But and I guess you were fully on board.
Yeah, I guess we knew we didn't want to do the all-inclusive route. Mm-hmm. And we had both gotten to travel to tropical places together, and so we were like, okay, it'd be so cool to do something overseas. And we knew we also, not that all-inclusive is a bad decision or a bad route, but we
thought
just
we might get bored.
Yeah, just getting to be in one place. We were it'd be so awesome to get hopefully more bang for our buck and get to go to different places. Yeah. And get to... Because we went to Europe, we decided to do 12 days, which was also so nice, instead of doing a typical week honeymoon.
Yeah. For both of you guys, when I think of travel, I definitely think of the more tropical. Obviously, you guys have done the Caribbean, Hawaii 15 million times at this point. Did it ever cross your mind to do something tropical, just not where you've been? Or did you know from the beginning you wanted to do so different?
I think we maybe talked about a different island of Hawaii, because we've been to Oahu a bunch, but talked about that. And then I don't know if you consider Greece tropical exactly, but
just because
coastal for sure.
Yeah,
just
coastal.
Because I've gotten to spend so much time in Greece, I really wanted to experience it with him, and so I was like, oh, let's do a week in Italy and a week in Greece. But honestly, when we were planning our trip and getting to experience it, we were like, that would have been insane.
Yeah, it would have been
to do
very hard.
Both. And so if we did Greece, just Greece, or if we went for a month-long trip, then we could have done both. But
because Italy doesn't even touch Greece, right? You would have had to
it would have been
fly
for sure. Yeah, we're really thankful we ended up just doing Italy because neither of us had ever been.
Yeah.
So it was amazing. We definitely don't regret any part of it.
Okay, so 12 days. Where did you guys stop in Italy? Where did you start? And then give me the overview of the route.
So we started in Milan, because that was the cheapest place to fly into.
Because typically you fly into Rome or Milan.
Yeah.
Right.
And it just so happened that Milan was cheaper. So started in Milan, and then we worked our way down to, I don't know if I should say Cinque Terre or Cinque Terre, whatever you want to pronounce it. We went there. It's like we went to Rio Major. It was like was it the biggest town?
Yeah, so Cinque Terre it means 5 towns.
Yeah.
And so it's 5 small towns all together on the coast.
I didn't know that.
And that was like another big thing you asked about if we wanted to go somewhere tropical. I was like, if we're going to go to Italy, we have to go to a coastal town.
Yeah.
We kind of wanted to avoid the boot just because it does get so congested, or what we've heard in the summer. Yeah. And so we were like, okay, we don't want to do Amalfi Coast, Positano, like any of those touristy popular places. And Cinque Terre is very popular, but it was like, okay, it's not too popular.
Yeah, it's still not Amalfi Coast. Like,
touristy.
it's not that bad.
Rio Major was the last town of Cinque Terre.
Did you go to all 5, or you went to just Rio Major?
We had to go through the other 4 to get to Rio Major, and so we saw them by train, and they're beautiful. And we
could have, if we were to go back, we'd probably visit more.
Yeah, and we also did a boat ride when we were in Rio Major, and so we did get to see all the 5 towns by water, which honestly we'd recommend anyone to do because it was an amazing tour, and we loved it so much. But I think it was because we were on our honeymoon, we were just like soaking it all up. And so if we would go back again, we definitely would do all 4 other towns because there's actually a trail that you can hike through the towns. Like, you don't have to do the train.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you know how long that takes?
It's probably a meaty hike.
I think people do it like in a day.
Yeah, you can do it in a day.
Oh, but it takes like a full day. Like, especially if you're like making stops. Yes.
I definitely was thinking like 4 or 5 days.
No. It's like very like
small.
Together.
Okay.
Yes.
Very close.
Yeah.
So Milan to Rio Major, and you took the train.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we did train everywhere, I think, except for Sicily.
Wait, let's talk about Rio Major then. I want to talk about it first before we move on. Okay, so obviously it's part of Cinque Terre, but what differentiated it from the other towns? Like, what stood out? Why did you go there? And what did you do?
Honestly, we based a lot of our trip based on Airbnbs we found.
Yeah.
So
true. Yeah.
We had this huge ongoing list of beautiful Airbnbs that we found in Italy. And we were just trying to map out our trip based on like our budget, how much they were, how nice they were, if we can make it all work. And it made sense for us to start in Cinque Terre, and then Rio Major is supposedly one of the more expensive towns of the 5. But this Airbnb was like on the dock, like right on the water, which was so nice. So our view was insane. Yeah,
there's like this, if you look up Rio Major, there's this picturesque like shot of the dock and everything, and you can see like our window where we stayed.
If you've seen the movie Luca, a Disney movie, it is based on that town. And so it was just honestly, it was the Airbnb that attracted us, of being like, it was affordable
and a great spot.
Yeah.
Right in like the square, I guess, of the little town. So, and Rio Major had like more restaurants, had a beach on it and stuff. So it was just kind of everything we would need was right there. So
you spent 4 days there.
Yeah.
On our first full day, 2 of my best friends gifted us with a boat ride, and that's when we did our boat ride.
That's what I was about to ask about.
Yes, yeah. And that was honestly like the best wedding gift that we could have received, just because it was, I think, both of our favorite memories.
Yeah, I mean, that was like the best day of my life. It was so good.
It was cool too. Our skipper, I think that's what they're called, like the one who drives the boat, he was a local. Like, he had lived there his whole entire life, and so of course he's just so proud of like where he's from, and so he like walked us through all the different facts, and it wasn't like corny or anything. It was like, whoa, this is like really cool. And it was a couple hours, and we did it in the morning, which we enjoyed. I guess the options were morning or for sunset.
Like,
why did you pick lunchtime over sunset?
I really don't know. I think I just wanted the sun to be as high as possible. Just water looks a little more blue, in the middle of the day. So
we got to jump. He like took us to a spot that was safe to like jump in the water. In certain areas, jellyfish are like super common, and so he took us to a spot where we can jump in. The water was freezing.
That was another thing about being with a local though that was so nice, is he knew exactly like the patterns of like fish and things like that. So it was really cool.
Yeah, that was definitely our favorite part of our honeymoon. We did like a boat ride in Croatia, and it was with a local, and like same thing, like he took us to places that weren't super crowded. He knew the area and knew where to like take us to get food. And so I don't know, it's just something about like being on the water, away from like the hustle and bustle of even tourist towns or countries. It was really special. So I'm so glad you guys got to experience that. Okay, so from there, where did you guys go next?
We wanted to experience coastal, countryside, Rome to see the Colosseum, and then we ended our trip in Sicily. And so next part was Siena, which was the countryside.
Yes.
And so with our train stop in Siena, we had to get a taxi to Monteroni
d'Abbia.
Look at him. I'm impressed.
He's really good at pronouncing Italian things. I'm not.
I'm not either. I don't even try. I like looked over your notes and I'm like, I'm just going to let them.
Yes, absolutely. And so we actually, our Airbnb that we stayed in Siena was so hospitable. Like it was its own.
That was like the brown building that you sent pictures of. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
That looked like a dream.
It was amazing. And they really set us up. Like they connected us with a local who knew a guy who had a taxi service, and he did not speak a lick of English. But we had like a translator help us throughout the whole process. And it was an hour drive, I think, from the Siena train station to our Airbnb in the countryside. Most beautiful drive. Yeah. And it was only 60 euros.
How did you even find that Airbnb? Just like on Airbnb, just
it was
exploring?
On Airbnb.
Chandler did all the research.
Yeah.
He was in the thick of it, just looking at different countryside.
Insane. That looks like nothing that because we went to Rome, Italy, and Venice. Yeah. Nothing that I experienced in Italy. Like no one was anywhere around. Like there was grass.
Yes.
Yeah, it was so cool.
It was crazy because we got there and she showed us the person who I guess runs it.
She's like the groundskeeper.
Yeah. She showed us our place, and there was a couple different rooms, but ours that we booked, which we unknowingly did this, was a whole entire house. And we walk into this place, and Chandler and I were like, when she's turning the corner, like, are looking at each other, pinching each other, like, is this real? Is this real? Like,
every time she would turn away, we'd look at each other like, what?
And it was funny because we were like, did we forget to pay for something? Like, is she about to show us a receipt and being like, and this hidden fee, and this hidden fee?
And this is like the remainder of your balance or something.
And
Thank you for your deposit.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. And I think that was like our entire trip. Like, yes, like we did splurge because it was our honeymoon. And I don't know if we would do that again. Like, it would have been reasonable because it was a whole house. It slept 6 people, so it would have been awesome to like split it with friends. But over like the whole entire trip, we're just like, man, like Italy is actually affordable.
Yeah, once you get there, it felt so affordable.
Yeah,
for sure. And so we thought we were getting pranked, but we weren't. And they actually had like a little gift shop on the grounds too. Because she recommended for us to get our groceries at the train station before we got there because it was an hour walk into the nearest grocery store, which we did end up doing one day just to see town, which was really cool. But we were able to cook all of our own food there, and it was definitely like the most slower pace of our trip. Like we really just got to be there.
It was very like honeymoon.
Yeah.
It sounds like it. And even just like the walk into town, like even just walking the countryside of Italy for an hour sounds like such a dream.
Yes,
like,
we were passing wheat fields and we just picked the wheat and we're like, this is crazy.
Yeah. And then it even just feels more magical when it's your honeymoon.
Absolutely.
Like you just, it's just like you have a new sense of like, you're newly married and you're just like on cloud 9 and then you're in the middle of nowhere, Italy.
Absolutely.
That sounds like such a dream.
For sure.
Oh my goodness. So how many nights did you stay there?
It was 3 nights.
Yes.
Okay.
That was that the most expensive? So we wanted to, we wanted to enjoy it, but we also didn't want to break the bank.
Yeah.
That was the kind of place where we wanted to like, the stay was the, like, that was the thing to do, was the stay.
Like you really didn't do much
there's nowhere to
outside
go,
of that.
so it was it made sense to spend more.
There was a pool, a sauna, a hot tub on the grounds, so it really was like you got there and you stayed there, which was so nice.
And there's no like restaurant on property, like you have to have your own.
I think they like you could. I think they would bring in a chef, like if you reserved it or something.
Heard that.
But
yes,
it'd just be extra.
This was amazing though. You had to pay for it, but it was literally like €5, right? The croissants.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my goodness. Hand delivered croissants to your door in the morning. It was amazing.
What a way to start your day.
It was so awesome. I wanted to do it every morning. We did it the last morning because we didn't know like how much it cost and we didn't want to be rude by asking. but
still, $5?
Yes.
I would have done that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so
But it is kind of awkward when like you don't know.
For sure. Yeah.
Okay, so hit the countryside and then you went into Rome.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
We from Siena we went to Rome and we're there for 2 nights.
Yeah. We knew going into it we didn't want to stay in Rome forever because my only thing I wanted to see was the Colosseum. And you wanted to see the Lizzie McGuire spot.
The Spanish Steps.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah,
and
of course.
The fountain,
Yeah.
I guess.
So to prepare for a trip to Rome, he made me watch Gladiator. I made him watch Lizzie McGuire.
Fair trade.
Yeah.
Yes.
I agree.
Yes, for sure.
Okay, did you ever consider doing a Vespa in Rome?
Oh, I thought about that.
Yeah.
But
Why did you decide against it? Because I have thoughts on this too.
did you see, when you were there, did you see like Vespa rental places?
I didn't look into Vespa rentals. I saw a lot of Vespas. I saw a lot of driving around.
Mm-hmm.
It was like on my bucket list, y'all. Like on my written bucket list to drive a Vespa in Rome.
Yeah.
And then I actually got to Rome and was like, I don't want to do this.
Yeah,
Like,
I
it
agree. I don't want to get
terrified
into
me.
that. Yeah.
I got there and I don't know. Just Lizzie McGuire did not set me up well.
Yeah.
I was too scared.
We only had to take a bus from the Rome train station to our Airbnb, and then we walked everywhere else.
Okay,
Yeah.
fair.
And so we were never in a taxi. We were never like on the street to experience how congested it was. We did see it. Like when we were walking the streets, we were like, wow, they almost hit that wall or they almost hit that person.
Yes.
So I guess we just like never really looked into it.
So I'll just keep that for Liz McGuire.
Yeah.
But so you guys did those 3 things. Did you like it? Did you enjoy it?
I'll be very blunt. No, I did not like it at all.
Well, I'll say the word I kept using was reverence. Like when you go to the Colosseum, I don't know, like I wasn't expecting to see blood or anything like on the walls of it, but I was expecting there to be kind of reverence for this place that is like so cool. It's a wonder of the world. So I was just expecting more, I guess. I liked it. It's just, it felt very touristy.
Yeah.
It just didn't feel like it had the magnitude that I thought it would. So
I will say we had the best food and coffee
yes,
in Rome.
yeah.
And
Do you know where you went?
So our Airbnb was right next to this coffee shop called Barnum, and it was a small cafe, very specialty coffee. It had an amazing brunch and lunch menu.
It had like a full menu. Like it was some of the most elaborate food.
I think it
ever.
opened up at 8 every single morning. Like if you weren't there when doors open, there was like a 30-minute wait, like a line outside to get there. Get inside, and it was really good. We went there we went both days.
I think we went 3 times.
Yeah.
Only there 2 days, but we went 3 times, I think.
It was like the only place, and you know I'm huge on coffee,
Yeah.
and so it was the only place that like actually had like specialty coffee that was like really good quality.
Yeah.
So love that. And then the other places that we went, I can't remember the names, but it was just like authentic Italian pasta.
It kind of seemed like places there were probably a million of them in Rome. Like you could walk off the street and find a good spot. So
We went to the #1 rated gelato place.
oh yeah.
Do you remember what it was?
I would have to look back on our transactions to find out what it's called. But literally, if you look it up, like best gelato in Rome, it will come up.
Yeah, it's
and
not hard to find.
I'm pretty sure it's like 4.9 stars.
Was it
every
worth it?
single. Yes, I loved it so much. It
was
was.
good.
Was it worth the wait?
Yeah.
Okay.
Chandler disagrees.
I don't care about food.
Well, I was
as
also
much as
going to
she
ask
does.
you, did you stay dairy? You didn't stay dairy. I mean, you barely
no.
stay dairy free in
Not
America.
literally.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
Also,
So
everyone talks about how like it doesn't bother
yeah.
a lot of people
Yeah.
overseas in
Yeah.
Europe with gluten and dairy,
Yeah.
and so we were like, to the heck with it.
yeah. And
People-
gluten typically bothers me, but here I went after it and it didn't.
You were good.
Yeah. For the
People
most
say
part.
that. My sister and I were too. We were like, we're not.
Yeah, I
I
wouldn't
would just
risk it on
hate,
vacation.
especially having like Beckham. It just like
Absolutely.
made me so nervous
Yeah.
to be down for the count. But I've heard people like have no problems
Yeah.
in Italy with it. Okay, so Trevi Fountain, Spanish Steps, Rome Coliseum, gelato. I feel like people like go crazy over gelato in Italy.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was good. I just like wasn't like, my brother wanted to have it multiple times a day. Like we were literally eating gelato one day and he was like, I found this gelato shop we should go to down the street. I'm like, bro, like let's just calm down. So I didn't feel that way, but I feel like a lot of people like that's like their go-to. So after Rome, you guys finished the trip in
Sicily.
Sicily.
Yeah.
Talk to me about Sicily because I really don't know. Like, obviously, I hear about Sicily, but I don't know much about it.
We decided to go to Sicily because our wedding photographer, Stephanie, she actually planned a family vacation to Italy the exact same dates that we were going to be there. And so we connected with her and we were like, this is crazy. Is it possible at all for us to be in the same place? And they were in Malta and Sicily, and like after we were gone, they were staying longer than us. But after we were gone, they were gonna go to Rome, Florence, like all these other places. And so with our dates, it worked out for us to meet in Sicily. And so that's honestly what made the decision to go to Sicily. One of his best friends had been to Sicily and like raved about it, told us that we should go. And so we were like, okay. And I mean, we had never heard of anyone else going before. And so we really just went to meet with our wedding photographer. A part of our package with her, we had engagement photos with her, and we never used our sessions. So we were like, whoa, this would be crazy to do a post-wedding shoot with her.
And in Italy, we kind of wanted to get a gist of everything, just so when we go back, we know what we like. So.
Was Sicily on the coast?
It's its own island off the coast.
So did you take a ferry, or how did you get there?
You could have taken a ferry, but we actually took a plane.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Jumper.
Wait, that's so fun.
Yes.
A seaplane or like a normal plane?
A normal plane. It was smaller.
Yeah, it was small.
But
how
pretty
long was
sketchy.
that flight?
it was like in
40 something minutes.
Okay, yeah.
Wait, I don't feel like I knew it was this far from land.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also we were leaving from Rome, so like it was a bit of a flight. Yeah.
And we booked Ryanair, which a lot of people compare it to Spirit. Like, they just don't recommend. But it was the cheapest, like, for...
And it was fun. I mean, they were, like, selling perfume
like 40
in the aisles of the plane, but it was fun.
Yeah, it was fine.
It's so cheap.
It was so cheap.
I've never actually done it, but I like the idea of it.
Yeah.
Like $40.
It's the same thing as Spirit. Like, you have hidden fees.
Yeah.
And so we did probably spend just as much as we would in, like, another plane
because you guys had actual luggage.
Yeah.
No.
Well, we had like a carry-on.
We had 2 carry-ons and 2 backpacks. That was all we did for the 12 days.
Yes, that's impressive.
Thank you. It was.
She's like, no, that was actually my biggest feat of the whole trip.
Yeah, it was. But everyone talked about Italy. Like, you have to climb so many stairs. You have to walk so much. And so we were like, we cannot do big luggage. And so we wore a lot of clothes on each train ride and each plane ride. And we made it work. But the plane ride was pretty cheap. And then...
Yeah, our like meals were double the cost of our plane ride to the place.
For
So
sure. We definitely,
it was good.
Yeah. And we flew into, is it Catania? Is that how you say it?
Oh goodness, Catania. I don't know.
He just adds an Italian accent.
Yes, exactly. And we took a bus. That was recommended to us to take a bus to also our Airbnb hosts. Everyone in Italy with our Airbnb hosts, so helpful. Like, so helpful with information. Yeah. Just like great locals that know how to get around. Yeah. So that was great. So we took a bus, and that was crazy.
Oh my gosh.
Absolutely crazy. Our bus ride there to Taormina, which we were staying in a hotel that was an Airbnb listing off the a cliff of this island called Isola Bella. And so we stayed there, but the bus ride there, the windiest roads up a cliff.
Oh my gosh.
Like, this lady...
Were you scared or sick or both?
No, thankfully, because it was nighttime.
She was scared. I was sick.
I was scared. I was like gripping on him. I was like, we are about to go off this cliff. Like, I don't know if we're going to make it. And also, I was like...
We also got in at like 9 p.m.
Yeah.
It's almost 10 o'clock. We're going around these curves. We're hungry and everything. But, I mean, think about like the biggest bus you've ever seen going around a bend where... I mean, we're thinking we're going to scrape against the walls of this
were there ever like cars coming at the same time?
Yeah,
it was.
And she would just honk her horn. I'm like,
and it was this old lady too, and she's ripping, turning these wheels,
I'm like,
and
she's
fine.
I hope she gets paid $100K a year. Like, she deserves it. Like, she deserves 6 figures for sure. But it blew us away, and so that was like our worst travel of the whole entire trip, just because we felt it was like, this is dangerous. Like, is this okay? But we did get in super late, and then we actually stumbled upon a restaurant that night. It was like 10 o'clock. It closed at 10:45, which is nice about all the restaurants in Italy. They close super late. And so we stumbled upon this restaurant that was like 5 minutes walking distance from our place. And we went every single day. We were there.
We went for like lunch and dinner. Yeah. Every day we were there.
Isn't that crazy that like you do all this planning to try to find the best places, and then sometimes it's just the one that you like? We had that in Croatia. We were so hungry one night. Everything was closed. It was very, very late. Yeah. And so we just stumbled upon like this pizza restaurant or something, and it was so good. And I'm like, we did all this research to find the best places, and then it's just crazy how that works out.
For sure. And I mean, the owner of the restaurant, he just cared for every single person who walked through his door. And like the second day we were there, he brought champagne to us. He was like, "You're back!"
Oh, that's so sweet.
And so every time we came after that, champagne for us, and we were like, "That's so kind."
That
Yes,
is so sweet.
And so we just wanted to support him too. It was amazing food. It was right on the cliff of the island, which was a beautiful view. And so
I feel like all our favorite things from Italy though were influenced by the locals.
yeah,
Like we like Rio Maggiore so much because of, you know, like the boat ride and meeting those people and everything. And then our favorite restaurant was because of the owner, and I don't know, just everyone was so nice there.
we did do a boat ride in Taormina in Sicily,
Yeah.
and it was a bust.
Oh man.
He was our skipper was super late to our like time to meet with him.
Yeah.
The weather conditions weren't great either, and the tour just wasn't that impressive compared to what we experienced in Cinque Terre.
Yeah.
And I'm not like the type of person to write a bad review, but I did write a bad review.
I feel like they deserve this one.
Yes, yeah. But that was like the only like thing that our trip that we were disappointed in.
Yeah,
I guess
yeah.
Rome was a little bit disappointing, but also like we still had a good time in Rome.
Yeah.
It was just that one thing that we did spend money on that we were just like, ugh, like we would have been fine doing without it.
Yeah. I feel like it's Rome, you almost had the expectations to be let down a little bit.
Yes.
So I feel like it
Yeah.
let you down a little bit less than like
Right.
Sicily, probably end of trip, like hoping for this like really wow factor at the end, and you're like, oh, this is
Yeah.
not it.
Yeah.
Dang.
And honestly, like our favorite part of Taormina was getting to meet up with our wedding photographer. Like she just has become a friend to us, and so she, after we took photos with her, we just got to go to dinner and get to know her. And it was like our first like across the table interaction with another person besides each other for like the past 11 days, because it was the last day of our honeymoon. And so that was just super cool that like, oh, we've experienced this awesome trip. We've been married for 2 weeks and we're getting to know another like awesome creative. So that was probably our favorite part of Sicily, at least.
So Chandler is a photographer and Julia is a model. So they just make the best duo ever. And the art they create together is like nothing I've ever seen. Like you guys, it's just so beautiful. Everything you guys create is so fun and so beautiful. So I'll definitely share some along the way. So 12 days.
Yeah.
And were you ready to go home? Were you like, what were because some trips you're like, okay, this was the perfect amount of time. Some you're like, I wish I could have gone longer. Some are like, I should have gone home 3 days ago. Like how do you feel like Italy compared in that?
I feel like now I almost can't really remember. I think if we would have been in like Cinque Terre or the countryside,
If we
we would have been wanting to stay a little bit longer. But us being in Sicily, I think we were ready to go because we loved the food, but we didn't. There wasn't a lot to do.
Yeah.
I think it was because it was our honeymoon too. It was like our first trip together married. And so I think there is an element of like, oh, we can't wait to get home to start our life together.
Yes.
Like actually like some normalcy, a routine.
Yeah.
But also like I feel like we talk about it now and we're like, oh, like we can't wait to go back. Like we miss it. And it would be awesome to like spend a month there and just actually like get to experience the culture, because I feel like it was just like we just scratched the surface of what Italy is.
Yeah.
We didn't get to experience different parts of the countryside, different parts of the coast. We didn't go near the boot, and so I just feel like there's so much more to experience that we still can, and we would like to go back to some of the same places, but we want to experience more too.
Yeah.
We touched a little bit on cost, but a 12-day trip to Italy, most people would be like, I could never do that. That's so expensive. And I do understand it was honeymoon. We splurged a little bit on our honeymoon. Some people splurge on every vacation. What would you guys tell people that are trying to afford a honeymoon like this?
Well, to start, we did what was recommended to us and got the Chase Sapphire Preferred card.
Yes.
Which, with the bonus points, the sign-on bonus, all the things, and like putting a lot of the wedding expenses on the credit card did allow us to use a lot of the points for our flights. It didn't cover all of our flights, which we were very naive and be like, our whole flights are going to be covered by our points.
No, we were thinking like the honeymoon is paid for.
Yeah.
But
and it did not. But for our 2 flights, it was $1,700, like with points.
Yeah.
so
How much?
essentially paid for like one ticket.
Yeah, I started the points game very naive too.
Yeah.
Like I am a year into having my Chase Sapphire, and I'm just now getting to the point where I'm like, I think we can start spending these because it takes a while to accumulate.
It for sure does.
Yeah.
And I think we just had this vision of like, oh, we're going to have the whole honeymoon covered, and we paid for our own honeymoon too. And so we had to be very wise with like what we were doing, and it was very overwhelming to start. Like we were just like, oh.
We also didn't do it like the best probably, because we started seriously planning like 3 weeks before our wedding.
Didn't plan.
Yeah, we didn't.
Yeah, we don't plan. Like we had general ideas of where we wanted to go, but I think what you said earlier, how we kind of used Airbnb as like our gauge, because I mean you can say you want to go somewhere, but if nowhere there is like in your budget, then it doesn't work.
We also knew we didn't want to use a travel agency or a travel agent, just because maybe stubbornness, but we were just like, we can do this. Like we can figure out where we want to go on our own.
Yeah, Julia has TikTok. She
okay.
Honestly, my biggest research.
No, that is where I research anything these days, but especially travel.
Yeah.
Sometimes it puts me in a really great place. Sometimes things are hyped up so much on social media, and then I go there. I remember there was a restaurant in London that I was like dying to try because of TikTok, and I went there and I was like, this is just a normal restaurant. Like why was I so? But it can be a really helpful place to start. Also travel blogs, like I feel like if you take the time to write about it and you can hype it up without a whole TikTok video, I also think that's like a really good tip too.
And then also with flights, like if you, like we said, like the flight really is the most expensive part. So if you can find, like if we would have planned a lot farther out and actually been watching flights like we could have.
And I know you've said this before, it's a whole lot easier to plan a trip when your dates are flexible, because you can like change your dates based on like the price of flights, but we couldn't do that. We were like, this is going to be our honeymoon dates. And so that was a bit difficult. And so again, like when we go back to Italy, we're going to be more flexible of like choosing a cheaper option. But I mean, it ended up working out great with our credit card points, but it was very overwhelming to start of just being like, oh my gosh, we can't go to Italy. Like we don't have enough money. Like how are we going to do this? But I think like comparatively to all inclusive and like what our friends had told us about how much they had spent on their honeymoons, it was.
Yeah, we felt like we scored.
Yeah, we were like, wow, for everything that we got to experience, everything we got to see, for it to be international.
Yeah, and we ate really good.
Yeah.
Ate really good.
We were not reserved at all when it came to spending money on food. We were like, $100 a meal, easy. We're gonna do it.
Right. Did you guys budget at all while you were there?
No, not at all.
Yeah, I think we might have like.
She's like, if Chandler was, I definitely wasn't.
I think we may have like thought like maybe we should budget, but honestly no.
Yeah.
Because like the saying of "it's our honeymoon" really
also,
digs deep.
Every trip we've done before this, we like are so frugal.
Yeah, we're like scrounging for.
Yes, like
we're eating hammy sammies
all
every
day.
meal.
Oh yeah.
And like sleeping in a van, like it's just like that's what we're used to. And so it was like this is the one time where it's okay to go a little overboard and to pay it off later.
I do think it is a balance of like not, especially when you have a love for travel, not necessarily like one style of travel. I do think that is the beauty of like you have a lot more flexibility because you can save all your money for this one really nice trip, and then you can still travel while you're saving money because you're not spending all your money. Like you're going to stay in the hostels or camping or, not balling out on dinner every single night. So I think there is a healthy balance. I feel like people think they can't travel all year for multiple years to save up for this one big trip. But I feel like that's depriving you of so much. You just have to sleep cheap or like eat cheap or whatever you feel like you can compromise on. Because some people are like, I need a pretty pillow every night. Like that's fine. Right. Then just, you're going to be making your PB&Js. Like you just have to find somewhere to compromise. Otherwise you are going to be the people that don't travel for years and years to live up to this one trip. So I think that's really great advice. I know you were hyping up Airbnb a lot, but I also feel like a lot of people hate on Airbnb these days. I feel like people are veering away from them. There's a lot more hidden fees. There's a lot more like they make you literally like scrub their baseboards like before you check out. It's just insane all that you have to do for Airbnb now. But it sounds like you guys really like, would you guys?
I agree like with what you said, but I feel like in Italy, it wasn't that bad. I feel like in the States, like here, you really are having to do all their chores. But I don't think we had anything that was like out of the ordinary.
And it sounds like the pricing was fair too.
Yeah.
There was a tax, a tourism tax, but it was $3 a day.
But I'm pretty sure that's at hotels too.
Yeah, that was wherever we were going to go. So Yeah, we had a great experience
Yeah.
with Airbnb, and it was so nice getting to actually talk to a local that owned the places.
Yeah.
Just
I mean,
having
that
a
would've-
go-to person to talk to, regardless of where you're staying, is so helpful. Like a one-on-one person.
I think also with Airbnb, like, even though, yes, like, part of our money is going to Airbnb and funding Airbnb's business, but also, like, you're supporting someone else's income.
Right.
And so I feel like for the places that we got to stay, it was so worth it and without a question compared to hotels. So, yeah, we didn't have any issues. There wasn't that many hidden fees compared to, like, Airbnbs that we've booked in the States before.
Yeah, yeah. And then you originally said you guys were going to rent a car.
Oh, yeah.
Where did that, was that planning or was that money?
That came from no knowledge.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's fair.
Yeah. I realized that all the places besides Rome to Sicily was accessible through train.
Yeah.
And just like since I experienced public transportation before in Europe for an extended period of time, it didn't scare me, it didn't intimidate me, and it shouldn't scare or intimidate anyone, just because like that is their way of transportation and getting to place, and so they do such a good job with it. And so it honestly, like, it might have been, if we were staying in Siena longer, it might have been nice to have a car, but we never looked into it just because I think we realized trains were easy.
Did you ever take an like Uber at all? I know you took that one taxi.
In Rome, I think we took an Uber to the airport.
Oh yeah.
Okay, but overall, like you walked or trains pretty much everywhere.
Yeah.
Okay, what would you say your high of the trip was? Or we can start with low, whichever one.
Honestly, I love Cinque Terre, but I think my high was Siena. It was like our first taste of being in a home together and just getting to cook and be together and just, I don't know, it was just so slow and I love that so much. And yeah, it was just a taste to like being home together. Yeah.
My high, probably when I, like the boat, like on the boat, he was playing music from Gladiator, the movie. And it just, like it was just so cool seeing like the ocean and the towns and everything and stuff. And it was just so nice. Like our first full day there was probably my favorite, because that was like our first actual day as husband and wife, because the day after our wedding, like we were comatose. We were so tired, you know. So this is like the first time we were waking up fully rested, you know, like feeling like ourselves. So probably that, but I also loved Siena. I loved the countryside, because I agree, like felt like real life a little bit. So. And
then a low, we didn't touch on this. Our Rome Airbnb was not nice.
Oh no.
I mean, it was very like cool, I guess.
The area was cool. Like it was in a great area.
Well, no, like the Airbnb looked very aesthetic, I guess.
Well, I was really impressed when you said you guys walked everywhere in Rome, because
it was
like
it was
all
a good
the
location.
Stops are walkable, but like to get, I feel like we had to drive a decent amount in Rome. So it sounds like you guys stayed in a really good area, but the place itself wasn't.
Yeah, it was like on, you know, Rome is like a bunch of alleyways and stuff, but ours was kind of rough, and it did feel kind of dirty. It looked cool, but it was pretty dirty. So that was like, probably the low. Yeah,
that was the low for me, just because I don't mind sleeping in places that aren't nice, but it just was like dirty.
Oh my gosh, the pillows.
Yeah, we did not sleep well.
I slept with rolled up jeans as my pillow instead of the pillow.
Oh, because that was better.
Because it was so bad.
Yeah.
I mean, that made a big difference. Like, that like ruined Rome for me, having to sleep on either a brick or jeans. So that was my low.
If you would go back with friends and they were dying to go to Rome, what would you?
Yeah, we would go back with friends. We wouldn't go back ourselves, but I would say we splurge on like a really nice hotel or just another nicer Airbnb. Yeah. I'm sure there are nicer Airbnbs in Rome or different other places, but we were like, man, maybe we should have done a hotel in Rome.
Yes.
Just because there's a plethora of hotels in Rome.
That's why we had to drive. We stayed at an insane hotel in Rome,
okay, cool.
But it was like you lost the location.
Yeah.
We were able to walk like to food, like to coffee and stuff. There was like a huge bike race going on while we were there, and so like we walked down and watched the race and grabbed coffee and stuff, but to get to like Colosseum, Spanish Steps, Trevi, like we had to drive. So we did lose that, so I guess it's like a give and take, but it was really nice to have a good hotel. Okay, this or that, pizza or pasta?
Like pizza was so good, but we were so interested in the pasta that we didn't even really touch the pizza.
It was really good.
Did you guys try truffle in Italy?
Yeah,
Like truffle
I think
anything?
so. Yeah.
I ate truffle in everything. It was incredible. Truffle
really
fries,
good.
truffle pasta. Like, it was so good.
Yeah.
Okay, pasta or gelato?
Pasta.
What? I can't believe you said that. Yeah, pasta. But she was very interested in the gelato.
Gelato or coffee?
Coffee.
Gelato.
Just specifically Barnum coffee.
Barnum, yeah. You know, 3 times.
Yes.
I love it. Okay, and then the boat ride or chilling in the countryside?
Probably boat ride for me.
boat
For
ride.
you too?
Yeah.
Boat ride or honeymoon photography session?
Oh, that's hard.
That is
I
really
mean, those photos we'll always love.
Yeah.
So,
And that's what we get to keep from the honeymoon. So
yeah, so
photos.
boat. I don't know. It was hard.
I feel like that's such a special thing that, like, obviously you can never do again. You can do another photo shoot, but like, that is so special. You'll do other boat rides in your life, but that was also your very first day as husband and wife.
Yeah.
So I totally see both sides of that. So I'll accept both answers. Any last advice for anyone who wants to either go to Italy? I know we talked a little bit about like the financial tips, but any other last advice on someone that wants to go to Italy, or a honeymoon tip, or any kind of advice you want to leave your listeners?
Okay. I would say what I said earlier, like, don't be intimidated and don't feel like you need a travel agent or a travel agency. I'm sure, like you said, there are great ones, but I just feel like starting out, we were so overwhelmed by, like, where do we even start? What do we even do? How much is this going to cost? But it is really true what they say. You can do Europe much cheaper than you can do a lot of trips in the States. And so I think, just doing research on your own made us not feel intimidated, because it was like, wow, like, this is like kind of any other place that we've been. And I mean, getting to experience the culture too. I feel like it's another, like, great piece of advice is just, like, try not to go to the places you've heard of. Really try to get to experience Italy for Italy, which is, like, where the locals live, and just to get to experience their day-to-day life, honor their culture, I feel like is how you get to actually experience Italy, and makes you want to go back.
Yeah,
I would echo that. I mean, the not be intimidated thing, like, we were the least prepared people that have ever went to Italy on their honeymoon. And like, it ended up fun. Like, you figured out the train, flights were easy. So anybody can do it. But also the Italian people, like, they're so, even if they don't speak English, like, they're so friendly. So, like, we don't know a lick of Italian, but we were fine.
I love that. Where to next for Julia and Chandler?
Back to Italy.
Yes.
Any fun trips planning coming up?
At the end of this month, we are going to Charleston and Jacksonville, Florida.
Oh, fun.
And then we've talked about a road trip out west.
That would be so fun.
Yeah, we don't know when that's going to happen. We like to do it before the end of this year.
Probably staying domestic for a while.
Yeah. I'm trying to change my name, so that's a
That's
process
fair.
to get a new passport. But I mean, we really would like to go back to Europe next year.
Yeah.
So we'll see if it's back to Italy. My request would be that we hit Greece.
Yeah, fair. Thanks for coming on the podcast.
Thanks for having
Thanks for having us.
All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed that episode as much as I did. Julia and Chandler are so easy to talk to, and I definitely want to go back and take an Italy trip like they did. It sounds like the most dreamy honeymoon ever. Julia talks about in the episode how she was only able to make this trip possible because of her Chase Sapphire preferred card. So if you're not into the points and miles game yet, that is such an easy card to get into. Low annual fees, great return on your points. So if you are interested on getting free flights, getting free hotels, I will link my referral code down in the show notes below so that you too can jump on the game. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I will see you back here in 2 weeks. Bye, guys.